What's up everybody? Bill with Honest Open Permaculture Hot Farm. Today, we're gonna be building another compost pile. But wait, don't go anywhere. It's gonna be different, I promise. Hold on. So how is it gonna be different, you say? Well, most of the compost piles that I've shown you so far have been high labor, like you need to turn it every couple of days. The compost system back there with the chickens is high intense labor. I mean, I have to attend to that almost every single day, at least 15 minutes, an hour every 3 days. So I wanna show you something that is low labor that you can put together and maybe mess with once a month until it's ready. Let's get to it. The ingredients I'm gonna be using in this compost pile are duck bedding. That has been about 6 months of nasty duck bedding between straw and I layer cardboard, so every time I put a new layer of straw in there, I'll put a layer of cardboard because it helps soak up the really wet duck poo, and then I'll put straw over the cardboard. The other ingredient, a big pile of leaves we have here. I actually got them on the way home from work. I work in Kernersville delivering pizzas, and I noticed a bunch of leaves on the side of the road, so I drove the truck and I took a big snow shovel, and these leaves have already been, most of them have already been shredded between like probably a lawnmower, and they were set out next to the road. So I took a snow shovel, it took me about 10 minutes, and filled the back of the truck up like 3 times. Every time I went to work, you know, filled the back of the truck up on the way home, dropped them off here. So I'm gonna use those leaves that someone else shredded and pretty much gathered for me, and the duck poo and the duck bedding. Let's start putting this thing together. All right, so really the idea here is we're gonna be putting leaves and then duck bedding. Leaves, duck bedding, leaves, duck bedding. We want more leaves to the ratio than we want duck bedding, just because there is a lot of duck poo in here, so that means there's gonna be a high nitrogen ratio in that duck bedding. And the leaves will be a good carbon to help cancel it out, even though there is straw and cardboard in that duck bedding. There's not nearly enough, so we're gonna have to add a whole lot of leaves to help cancel that out. And then we'll just let it sit. Come back to it in 3 weeks to 4 weeks and turn it, heat back up, do it again in 3 or 4 weeks. You do need to go through your stuff and watch for little pieces of plastic. I just pick it up, put it in my pocket, throw it away later. All right, so we got a few inches of leaves down. Now let's put a layer of the duck bedding in. And just like that, keep going. You know, and after looking at these leaves and going through it, they might be a little too dry. Hold on one second. Now, why did I just do that? Well, because compost needs 4 important things. Water, which I just added. Oxygen, which is added when it's turned. When you put it together, it adds a lot of oxygen. When you turn it, it adds a lot of oxygen. 3 is carbon. A lot of the leaves and the cardboard and the straw is carbon. And nitrogen, which is a ton of duck poo in there, which has a lot of nitrogen. You put those 4 things together, you're gonna have compost every time. Something I didn't really expect in that duck, when I was cleaning out the ducks, is how many worms I'd be pulling out of there. So if these worms can stay away from the initial heat up of this pile, it's gonna heat up probably to about 160 to 170 degrees. If they can stay away from that and then come back into it, that would be awesome. That'd be ideal. What I'm doing there is I'm spreading it out to make sure it keeps that volume all the way to the top. We really don't want it tapering too much. We don't want it really big at the bottom and then like tapering all of a sudden at the top. We don't want to try to hold volume all the way to the top, because one more tip making compost is you need at least a 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot volume for that material to heat up fast and hot enough, not fast enough, hot enough to be able to turn this material into compost. Essentially what's gonna happen here is this whole pile is gonna get really, really hot. For the first week, it's gonna start getting really, really hot. And in the next 2 to 3 weeks, it's gonna start cooling down. And then you can come back to it after it's completely cold in 3 or 4 weeks, turn it, which is gonna revitalize it, which is gonna heat it back up again in that week. And the next 3 weeks or so, 2 weeks, it's gonna start cooling down again and turn it again. So every 3 weeks to a month, it's a slow compost. You don't need a whole lot to it. Once a month you mess with it. And technically, you can put it together right now and let it sit forever until it's ready. It will eventually turn into compost, especially putting it together in this manner. If you have the time, it's completely up to you. Now, what could you use if you don't have ducks or chickens? That's another thing you could use, chicken bedding, for a pile like this. You could use green grass clippings, horse manure, cow manure. There is people with horses and cows around you that for some reason just love to give away their manure, so look into that. If you had a place you get a lot of coffee grounds, that would be an option. Right, y'all, look how big this pile is. Okay, I'm standing right beside it. I'm 5'10", 5'11". These boots on probably 5'11". It comes up to above my belly button halfway through. Shoot, it's 3 foot by 10 foot wide, so we're plenty big. We've got a bunch of leftover leaves back here behind us, so we can use that somewhere else, probably in the chicken coop. I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna cover it, but I'm not gonna cover it completely. I don't have a tarp big enough to cover it completely, and it's not even a tarp. I have this old, let me show you. It's kind of like a blanket. It's a moving blanket. What this is gonna do is weight it down too, so the wind doesn't blow this pile away, because we're supposed to be getting some more storms in. There we go. I had that over the leaf pile, so I know it's going to keep the top part drier, all the storms we're going to get. I want to kind of regulate it a little bit. I don't want it to get totally saturated. If it gets too wet, the pile won't heat up correctly. Oh yeah, by the way guys, our shirts are now for sale. We have them on Teesprings. I'll give you a good close-up of it. So we got the gray ones and we have the white ones. It says Honest Open Permaculture on the bottom. Got the picture of our tree with all different types of animals and bees underneath and in the tree. Got the roots showing, because underneath the tree is just as important as above the tree, right? So if you guys are interested, you can go to our link below. It's Teesprings, and you can order long sleeve, short sleeve, or hoodie. Thank you guys. Oh, and we'll be doing an update once a month on this pile. Once a month.